Hello everyone, and welcome to Let's Make a Game, Snackrificial Chamber, Episode 10. Today I'll be cleaning up the UI so it's more consistent with the rest of the game. The first order of business is creating a simple background for all of my buttons and panels. Next, I'll create a play button and a stop button to transition between the solve and play states. I will import these three sprites into Unity, change the type to 2D UI, and remove the compression. For the background sprite, I want to create a slice sprite so the edges keep their dimensions and the middle will stretch. I apply the background sprite to all of my button prefabs and also to each panel I've already created. For the start and stop buttons, I remove the text components and add an image component to use the new sprites. I then resize the buttons into squares and change the anchoring of the new image components to stretch and fit the button. After the buttons are resized, I change their colors. Red for stop, green for play, but they turn white when moused over. This makes the UI a bit more interesting than just whites and grays. When picking colors, I like to use Google's Material Design palette. I'm not an artist, so knowing these colors were chosen to work well together makes my job easier. For this next bit, I'm going to need to be able to rotate tiles both clockwise and counterclockwise. I moved the existing logic to a new method so I can use it with the mouse click that was set up in episode 8, and with the buttons I will add today. I need to show these buttons when the solve state is active. I'll start by adding an empty object, then adding new buttons. One for rotation in each direction, one of which is flipped horizontally, and a third to delete the selected track. I also fixed the rotation that I broke earlier by forgetting to move the update connection methods. You can see that when I click one of the buttons, I'm also clicking on the tile behind it. The UI isn't stopping the raycast made from player controller, so I need to add logic to the controller to check whether or not I'm clicking a button. You may have noticed that these track modifier buttons are displayed even when there's no selected track. I only want them to display when something is selected, so I add a reference to the empty object containing these buttons, and set it active when a highlight happens, and inactive when a deselect happens. Next, I need to create the rotate and delete sprites. I open up the sprites I created earlier so I have a size comparison, and start to experiment. After I'm happy with the designs, I import them to Unity with the same settings I used earlier. I can now change the sprites on the track modifier buttons. Finally, I create a method to destroy the selected track. That's all I have for you today. The UI has been updated to match the rest of the game, and the tracks can be rotated and deleted with the new buttons. In the next episode, I'll be adding a new track type called the splitter. You can subscribe by clicking the icon on the left, or you can check out any of my other videos on the right. If you have suggestions for what I should do after this series, you can reach out to me on Twitter. Thanks for watching.